You know what? I haven't carried cash for almost like 4 years, 5 years. I've been living out of Saudi for the last 25 years. And this year, I never seen a cash for myself. I mean, never.
Where cash once ruled, digital payments now move the economy in the Middle East. The region has embraced fintechs, and one of the pioneering companies behind the transformation is PayTabs. They build payment infrastructure that helps banks and merchants unify how money moves, making financial operations faster, simpler, and far more efficient. This week on Fintech Fast from BCG Platinion, we're thrilled to bring you a conversation recorded at Money 2020 in Riyadh, where our very own Annika is based. She sat down with the CEO and founder of PayTabs, Abdulaziz Al Jouf, to learn more about the evolution of his company and to explore where fintech is headed in the Middle East.
By now, it's not only Saudi Arabia. I think you've also expanded.
We started from Morocco all the way to India. Took us 10 years and more than 1,000 flights to move the region.
Luckily, it's only a short flight then.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive, to be honest. And I think looking back at when you founded PayTabs more than 10 years ago, I imagine it was quite a different fintech landscape.
Actually, it doesn't exist, right? I mean, after 2 years, I heard about the fintech. And I still remember when I asked, I said, what is fintech? Fintech, is everyone talking about fintech? I said, it's a financial service. I said, what do I have to do with this? And he said, this is the URN. This is you. It was a very unregulated market. There's no rules, only central banks across the region. And it's quite funny. They didn't know what to do with us at that time. I never thought to become what is it today. All I wanted was how to make the payment easy for businesses. And here we go today. It's quite surprising even for me personally.
I mean, maybe looking back across the last years, I think Saudi Arabia is a super cool example on how like a country can support its fintech. So what do you think, what can other countries maybe learn from this, or also other regulators specifically?
I've been sitting with central banks in so many countries, let's say, and quite impressed and proud as a Saudi to see central banks telling me, oh, we want to do what you guys done. And of course, we're taking the chance to say, oh, we can help you. I mean, we've been in the country, we know what's going on. We have gone through the whole experience. And actually, it's become kind of one of our unique selling points. We are in Saudi and we can do the same for you. I was last night with one of the neighbor country Minister of Finance last night. And he's very impressed and he was asking, what can you do for us in our country? I think the country movement in the last 10 years is very impressive. When I started in 2015, I still remember the cash was 85%. And now it's almost like 101% digital.
Definitely. When I moved to Saudi like 2 years ago, I felt like without an STC Pay account or without a credit card
or Apple Pay,
you're nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. And when I compare this to like my home country, Germany, I still always need a bit of cash with me because otherwise I might get lost somewhere and not be able to pay my driver.
You know what? I haven't carried cash for almost 4 years, 5 years. I've been living out of Saudi for the last 25 years. And this year, I never seen a cash for myself. I mean, never.
That's cool. I think that's really a testament of how much the complete financial ecosystem here is growing.
They are making a really interesting point here. Because for me, moving from Germany to Australia earlier this year, I've actually never used a physical banknote. I've never used cash since moving to Australia because everything operates digitally, which is very similar to the Middle East and the future they are creating. The Middle East is certainly becoming one of the fastest growing hubs for fintech innovation. And yet, it is also a place where tradition still runs deep, where trust, relationships, and long-standing customs still shape how commerce happens. It's such an interesting balance, and one that Annika explores next.
So from your perspective, what do you think is key to balance the Saudi tradition with all the innovation and speed, and then also the responsible regulation you need in the finance sector?
We don't have to change to adapt, right? We don't have to change our culture to adapt. I'm keeping my tradition, I'm keeping my religion, and still I manage to develop and change and be advanced in technology or financial services or other scheme. I am a strong believer. I mean, living outside Saudi for 25 years, I lived in the West for 10, I lived in the East for 10, I lived in Middle East neighbor country for 5. So I have seen the East and West culture and not just a visiting, right? I lived there for 10 years. I think tradition is a core principle for our growth and development. It should not be against our growth and development.
It basically helps to set the right foundation and the right company values.
Yes, yeah.
That's amazing. Are there any lessons you could take from the other markets you worked in? I think you spent some time in the US, also in Bahrain. Is there anything Saudi cannot teach the others, but also the others can teach Saudi Arabia?
There's nobody is perfect, right? Today, we sit in Morocco and we sit in India and we sit in Saudi. I tell my team I'm Saudi and I always stay Saudi. But my Moroccan CEO in Morocco or my Indian CEO in India, he understands the culture. And what we are feeding to them is the technology, the principle of our company as a company today. We have, Anika, more than 28 passports, nationalities work in the company today. So
it's very intercultural.
Exactly. So for me personally, I mean, I'm learning from all those culture. I'm learning from all those markets and understanding the business culture. It's not about technology. It's not about product. It's not about finance. It's about how to understand how the business run in India. And you go to Saudi and you see the business culture is completely different. And then you go to Morocco and the culture is completely different. So it's amazing how you manage to build under one foundation all those nationalities to support. But the purpose is one, right? Is how to process the maximum of transaction in the region. This is what we say for everyone, is empowering every single transaction in the region.
And that's super interesting. So then you basically also have access to talent from Saudi, from Morocco, and from India.
Yes.
What advice would you then give founders who are also planning to expand internationally?
The single advice I would give is partnership, partnership, partnership. And the second one is do not start big. Always start small, test, trial. You burn your finger, get out, study your mistakes, go back again until you perfect the right formula. Because each and every market has a complete different culture and has a complete different partnership model and has a complete different business model. If you go to Egypt, we are almost like 100% QR. If you go to Saudi, it's zero.
I've never seen it here.
Yeah, so exactly, you've never seen it. And so you have to understand how to work with market and adapt, which I just said for you, the business culture of each and every market, how to fit into the culture. And this is why when I see companies coming from East and West, okay, I tell them, I've been there, I've done that. So if you're going to come with the same product, you think you're going to, fly in this region, you're not going to fly, okay? You have to understand how business run in this region to fit into it.
It's then really about having a very deep understanding of what do the consumer need and what pain points are we trying to solve.
Yeah, 100%. Any company who come to me or any entrepreneurs who come to me and say, I want to launch my product. I said, are you ready for this market? He said, oh, we are doing so well in X country. I said, yeah, good for you, but can you fit into this country? And I see a lot of failures of entrepreneurs because they think if I succeed in Saudi, then I will succeed in Turkey, which is completely a 360-degree different.
That's interesting. Like when I had my consulting onboarding, the first thing they told us is fail fast, fail forward, which then also means, okay, be humble, try, but if you fail, try again.
Yeah. Well, it's not how many times you fail, it's how many times you stand up again, right?
Maybe coming back to the initial days of PayTabs. So you mentioned already like the term fintech did not exist.
Yeah.
I would also assume that most of the other fintechs, which are now like the big ones here, did not really exist. There was no real ecosystem. What was the initial pain point you were trying to solve?
What really triggered the whole story is I lived in US for almost 10, okay? And when you want to process payment, I mean, it's literally an hour job. When I came to Saudi at that time, I wanted to launch business, but I want to run it from out of Saudi. I came to the bank and I said, I want payment gateway, which is very simple. I mean, and I remember he gave me 2 pages of requirements. And I said for him, okay. And he said, and one thing strike me all the time for the last 10 years is you need 3 years bank statement or audit statement. I said, I'm just 2 weeks old. And he said, oh, no, forget about it. No way you're going to get it. And when I went with him to his office, I still remember those piles of document. I said, what are those? And he said, people's like you who wants the payment service. I remember it was like 200 application. And I thought, if it's my problem, then it's everyone's problem.
Yeah.
So I remember we built the code. We went to outside company to process the payment. I remember we bought the entire website for $25. Okay, the whole theme, dashboard, everything.
So it was a good investment.
And I did not even remove the logo of the designer that time. I just want to really see if this is going to work. And I still remember we spent like 4 or 5 months building all things, putting all the pieces together. And they say entrepreneurs jump from build your parachute on the way down. This is exactly what happened to me. I jumped from the plane and literally I didn't know how to build a parachute. I'm just getting pieces together. We launched in October with 0. And by December, I still remember New Year Eve that day. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, could you believe that we process 20 million SAR?
When I looked it up, all the other fintechs, like, you know, not by now, like Drahim, Tabby, and so on, like they all started later. So I think there is a lot they learned from you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did a good job. They managed to move a market, which really I admire. I mean, what they have done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Looking now ahead, maybe to 2030, maybe even to 2040, what are like the next trends you would see in the payments industry, but maybe also broader for the fintech space here in Saudi?
Let's talk about 30 before we go to 40.
Okay.
I think a lot of those fintech companies will become a commodity. The payment is a commodity today. The buy now, pay later will become a commodity today. A lot of services will become a commodity. And I always tell entrepreneurs, if you're gonna build something that moves the needle in the country, right? Like Tabi, Tamara, something really big that change people's life. Do not go to tiny space and you try to build a company. It will not work because eventually you will die. The market is not there. The business is not there. And I think what's going to happen, I mean, with time, you'll see more, I would say, added value services coming. And it's just actually the beginning from last year. You start to see a lot of acquisitions happening from big fish. Now they call us the big fish. We used to be tiny. And we acquired last 4 years almost like 5 companies. And we're acquiring another 5 companies in the next 2 years.
The growth is not stopping.
Exactly. And I think what I see, I mean, in 2030, you'll see more of the added value services coming up. If there's a key change, I would say there are waves keep coming and going. The issuing came up, spent so much, they spent almost $60 million, nothing happened. So people think it's a wave coming up, but eventually it get hit, I mean, by the rock. Buy now, pay later managed to get up in the wave. Then the AI come in. I mean, now you see financing. Everything is financing, okay? Someone is financing the rent. So this year, every year, you feel and you see a theme. The year before was crowdfunding. Last year was AI. This year, financing. So every year there are different themes coming up.
Anything like specific to Saudi you would see in the next 10 years coming?
I think one addition to what we talked about is how the banks start to change their behavior toward fintech. We have one of the bank here in Saudi 2 years ago. They have no payment services. They have no team. And they took our solution. This month, they're doing almost $300 million a month. You can see the growth they have done from zero. And we seen the same in Jordan. Feel proud of impact that you managed to change the bank perspective and also the people's and the market. So it gives you a chill of a pride. I mean, you change people's life.
That's a really nice story to end with. So thank you so much for taking time. It was really amazing for me now being based in Riyadh to really hear about like the first Saudi fintech. Thank you so much for taking time and sharing your perspective.
Thank you. Pleasure to have me here, and thanks to the team behind.
It's kind of incredible to think back. When PayTabs was starting, there were no regulators, no roadmap for how fintechs should work in Saudi Arabia. They really had to build the systems, trust, and frameworks from the ground up. From what I've seen in other markets, that is a very interesting contrast actually to one of our early episodes with Jouf from Saif, who built their fintech in Singapore, for example. And now Singapore is a market or a nation that is very heavily regulated. And not in a bad way, actually, but in a way that regulators actually provide a more protected ecosystem for fintechs to grow and to start. Like they have a fintech sandbox that companies can work with in a really defined environment. So seeing that on one side, like regulators with a very strong role, actively encouraging fintechs versus obviously other fintechs starting with no guardrails at all. It's like a super interesting contrast and still exciting to see, obviously, how both can turn out very successfully. I'm not saying one or the other is better. It's just, it's very different starting grounds. And for sure, if you have a very strongly regulated environment, it helps you keep the market more stable, safe, right? Especially if you are operating in a very established market. You just don't want to risk it being torn down by a fintech that maybe doesn't operate in proper ways. But then on the other side, if you are operating in a market that is not yet as regulated or regulated at all, that gives you a lot of opportunity, right? You really can reinvent how financial services work. You can think back from the customer, like what do your customers actually need? How would they like to pay each other? What kind of customer journey would they like? Whereas obviously, if you work in a very regulated environment, that is kind of prescribed. So really, really interesting to see how PayTabs did define that on their own in such a successful way. This has been Fintech Files, a podcast from BCG Platinion. This season, we're digging deep into the groundbreaking ideas that are reshaping the future of fintech. We've got some amazing guests lined up, so make sure that you're subscribed and you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Fintech Files.